Hi friends, today is Tuesday's reading. I need you to get out your reading packet and we are going to flip to page number 36. Flip to page number 36. Today our objective is to look at events that happen in the story and to really take a deep dive into how our characters react to those events, which means what do they do after those main events happen. When we look at the way that characters respond to events or things that happen in the story, we really get to understand more about the story and why they act the way that they do. Again, characters are the people or the animals that are actually inside the story. We're going to look today at challenges in the story. A challenge is a problem that needs to be solved. There can be all kinds of challenges in life. Maybe there's a challenge your computer won't connect to the internet. That's a challenge. It's a problem that needs to be solved. Today we're going to describe how the characters respond, which means what do they do after they face the problem? How do they respond to the problem? That's going to help us get to know them better. Let's look at the picture. We need to decide what the challenge is in this picture. Then, after we've decided what the challenge is in the picture, we need to think about how each character responds. What do they do after they face the challenge? Let's take a look at both of the boys. The first thing that we need to decide is, what is the challenge? What's the problem that needs to be solved? Take a good look at this illustration or picture. I'm taking a careful look and I'm noticing that this boy right here looks pretty upset, and if I look down below him, I notice that his car is upside down and the wheel is popped off. So I'm assuming that in this text or in this illustration that the problem or the challenge is that his toy car has been broken. So I'm going to go down here and you can grab your pencil as well. What is the challenge? Well, the toy is broken. Okay, that's the challenge. That's what's wrong. Let's go back up. And we need to decide, how do the characters respond to the challenge? Okay, what do they do in response? Well, to do that, we need to look at their faces. Okay, that gives us a clue on how they're responding. And we also need to look at their text bubbles, their speech bubbles. A speech bubble shows us exactly what that character is saying. So this character, I can tell just by looking at his facial expressions, he's making a frown face. He looks really nervous. He looks a little sad. And let's read his speech bubble. It says, "It's broken forever." So I can tell just by looking at this illustration, this picture, and by reading the text from his speech bubble that he is pretty upset. He's responding by getting sad and upset, and he thinks it's going to be broken forever. That tells us that he's kind of feeling hopeless. He doesn't think it's ever going to be able to be fixed. So down here, how does the character respond? The little boy is upset. He is worried. He is worried the toy is not going to be fixed. Okay, that's how he responds. Does he try to fix it? Does he seem hopeful? Does he seem optimistic that the toy's going to get better? No. He just looks at it, it's broken, and he says, "Oh, it's broken forever," and gets upset. Let's see how the older boy responds. The older boy, I can tell, automatically has a much better attitude about it. He's got a smile on his face. He's got his hand stretched out for his friends, like he's trying to be helpful to the little boy. And let's read his speech bubble to give us even more of an idea of how he responds. In his speech bubble, he says, "I can fix that for you." Much more helpful, much more hopeful, much more happy and optimistic that things are going to be okay. How does the older boy respond? The older boy is hopeful that he can fix the toy. You know what? I'm also going to put that he responds By being happy. He seems happy to help. We've got the challenge here, and the challenge we said that is that this toy right here is broken. And you know what's interesting is that there can be a challenge in a story, but two characters can respond in very different ways. The challenge was that the toy is broken, but this little boy responded much differently than the older boy did, okay? This little boy just kind of gives up. That tells me a lot about this character, right? It tells me that he might not be tough. He might not be able to handle problems that come at him. This character, super optimistic, which means he thinks the best about things. He's willing to help. So that tells me this character, you know what, he's probably usually in a good mood. I bet he's very helpful to his friends. So today we learned a little bit more about these characters just by looking at the way that they respond to the problem or the challenge in the text. Talk to somebody next to you. What do you think will make this little boy happy? Use what we see in the picture to help us out, okay? So let's go back to the picture. What do you think it would take to make this little boy happy? I want you to talk to somebody next to you about that. What do you think it would take to make this little boy happy? If you know what the challenge is, okay, and we wrote that down, what do you think it would take to make him happy? All right, today we worked with the word challenge, which means problem in the story, respond, which means how do the characters act after something happens to them, and characters are people or animals in the story. All right, today you're going to just make sure that you look at page 36 and finish the chart on page 37.